Okay. Good morning and welcome everybody to our session today. I see a lot of us are still streaming in, and I would like for each one of us to please introduce yourself by name, institution, if any, your research discipline or interest, and what you would like to learn today. I see some introductions already coming in. I will begin with myself. My name is Dr. Joyce Wangare. I am a almost graduating candidate and I got my doctorate at United States International University, Africa, in the field of clinical psychology, focusing on deaf people and mental health. So I'm looking forward to learning more about the different types of softwares for qualitative synthesis. I see many more chats coming in. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself. Clive Onsomu, PhD student in information technology at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT. He says, focusing on insider fraud in banks and financial institutions, a cybersecurity perspective. So Clive says he's looking forward to learn how to extract qualitative data in an IT environment. Wonderful. Then we have Radha Gimire all the way from Nepal, Judith Bira from Uganda. Let's take a few more introductions. Please give us your name, institution, research discipline, and what you would like to learn today, and anything else you think would be important for us to know. And I will be reading them as we go along. So I see Vera Akuchi from Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining. It must be 7 a.m. over there because it's 8 a.m. in Nairobi. Then Maja Jarakasi from UWC South Africa and Humboldt University, Germany. International Research Training Group Fellow, PhD student, Anthropology Department, Mental Health. Welcome, Maja. I see Zadok Mainge, Masinda Muliro, University of Science and Technology, Department of Nutritional Sciences, MSc Public Health Nutrition. An area of research is maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. Zadok says he's ready to learn how to triangulate qualitative data with quantitative data. That's really interesting. Wamboi Gadboga from Daystar University, working towards completing masters in monitoring and evaluation. Looking forward to learning today. Josephat Karuga, master students, Kenyatta University, area of research, critical care nursing and nursing education. Looking forward on how to code qualitative data. I'm planning to collect the data in 2 weeks' time. Oh, this will be quite timely for you, Josephat. Then we have Chris Limo, MA Counseling Psychology student, Daystar University. Research interest is impact of addictions on different populations. Mustafa Jirde says, hello team. Amadi Omega says, his name is Kennedy Amadi, all right. Karen from Kenya, pharmacy student, JQuat, and a research enthusiast, currently working on a research project on use of biocides or disinfectants and impact on AMR, excited to be here. Eric Okod from Kisumu Maseno University, taking an M&E Masters, monitoring and evaluation. My expectation is to learn to analyze qualitative data. So keep the introductions coming. I'll read a few more as we go along. And if you're coming in, please write your real name in the chat so we can avoid any trolls. Great. So I'll shortly introduce our presenter of the day, Dr. Brian Ombura. He has a Bachelor of Pharmacy from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT, in Kenya, and he's a risk manager. He works at Gashororo Community Health Center. He is an expert on coding qualitative data. So please note all your comments and questions as we go along in the chat in order that we may have quite an interactive discussion after this presentation. So over to you, Dr. Ombura, Brian. And if you like, you may also switch on your video. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I cannot hear you. Maybe you could try mute on this device that has your video, and then you unmute on the other device that you joined on in to avoid the echo. So you can just mute on the video side and then unmute on the audio side so that we can hear you. That is technology for us. It helps to make life easier, they say. um, is it just me or can anybody hear? Okay, let's see.
No, we can't hear you.
Okay, all right. So could be that we can see your video actually. I'll proceed with the presentation. Welcome.
Am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So
Is it just me or did the internet buffer? Okay.
Valerie, I think we lost him.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it happens a lot. Yeah. Welcome.
hello, everyone.
Oh.
Okay. So my name is Dr. Brian Ombura. I am a BSc pharmacy student. And today I've been given the opportunity to take you through coding qualitative data. I hope this session will be interactive, and I hope if I ask any questions so that we have a smooth flow as I take you through this session. I hope I'm audible. I will check the chat box from time to time to see if we're still together. Okay. So first of all, we all know about qualitative data and quantitative data. And the reason why I focus more on qualitative data is because the field of psychology and health is moving towards qualitative data, because quantitative data is more, I would say biased, but when it comes to taking people's perception, patients' perception, and feelings and emotion, which most research will be about. So qualitative data is more accurate when you're talking about feelings, perception, and you're looking at real-time values. So my PowerPoint will have, first I will introduce you to qualitative data, and then we'll go through coding qualitative data, and then computer-assisted qualitative data analysis softwares, which is my main focus today, and then the practical examples. The reason why I had to give a short theoretical introduction is because there are so many softwares out there, and I sent a link in the group, which I have still attached it in this group. And what it means is you can choose which software to use. Most of them are user-friendly. I have my own personal preferences, and towards the end of my slides, there are links that will help you. You click every link that you'd want, and then you'll try and practice. The good thing with all of the softwares, they have a 2-week free trial, so you can still use all of them and then choose which is the best for you and subscribe. So my first topic today is qualitative data analysis. I would want anyone in the group to actually talk about qualitative data or qualitative research, what it entails. I'll give a supporting document so you can just try and give an overview. There's no wrong answer. Anyone willing to try? What is qualitative data?
So you can raise your hand or type in the chat. I'm checking to see if there's any raised hand. Zadok Mange says the slides are not very visible. It's difficult to see. Benga Elufisan has raised his hand. Welcome, Benga.
Okay.
All right. I may not know so much, but I can say a few things about qualitative data analysis. When we talk about qualitative data, we are talking about a kind of data that is not outright, like you don't have. It is more like an open-ended kind of, question that would bring such data up. It's not a kind of data that you already have a category for, a predetermined category. So it's a data that actually gets deep, gives deep understanding of the subject matter. And it actually looks at issues around attitude and perception, like Dr. Ombura actually talked about. So that's one thing I know about qualitative data. There are quite a lot of other things. And then,
Right.
yeah. So
and
it's very, very rich, and it's one of the data that, actually the data that you can use in, theory building and all that. So yeah.
Do we take two more? I see two more raised hands.
I'll take one more.
One more.
And then,
so
yeah, if
I'm not
anyone
sure who
has an
raised
answer.
their hand first, but let's go with Eric. Welcome, Eric. Maja, you can type in the chat. Welcome, Eric.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, mine is very short. Qualitative data, as for me, it is more of story or reported speeches. That's my take.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
So,
Dr. Ombura, you mentioned a link that you shared. Did you share it in the group or?
Yes, I will still resend it in the group. So
okay.
you have access to the software.
Right.
Okay. So as you've heard, qualitative data is more about stories, summaries, interviews, transcripts, videos. So it's anything that is non-numerical. The reason why I talked about coding is because how do you categorize what is important and what is not important so that you can actually conduct a full presentation or a report. So as you realize as you go on, qualitative data is more complex to analyze than quantitative data. Quantitative data is more numerical, and I think most research usually use quantitative data, sorry. So we've already discussed what is qualitative data. There was a point that the slides are not visible. I'll still share them at the end of the session, and you'll be able to see. If you have any question, you can still write on this chat box. I'll be able to read it at the end of the session. So what is qualitative data analysis? This is where you take your quantitative data, because it's complex, it has a lot of information. It was based on interviews, images, documents, summaries, and now you categorize it systematically in such a way that you're able to understand, and then you're able to come up with a phenomenon that, or a theory that supports that data that you've collected. So there are ways how qualitative data is analyzed. The first one is content analysis. And content analysis is where you generally categorize. This is a summary of a simplification of what content analysis is. It's a lot of information, but I'm just simplifying it for you. So in content analysis, you take your excerpt or your transcript and you categorize them based on how you as the person reporting, how you'd want it to be reported, okay? And then we have narrative analysis. This is where you take all the summary. If it was an interview, you take the transcripts for the interview, and now you rephrase, you paraphrase using your own words, what you thought, or what you thought the person you're interviewing, or what the qualitative data meant. So there's discourse analysis, where is natural occurrence. Now this you report exactly how it was, and this is where it happens for a long period of time, especially if you're observing for a long period of time. There is framework analysis and ground theory analysis. These are almost the same, where you actually take your qualitative data and form a theory or a framework around it. So these are the steps for qualitative data analysis. As you know, this is just an introduction, and we'll be focusing on point number 3, where you develop a data coding system, and number 4, assigning codes to the data. So the first step in doing your qualitative analysis is preparing and organizing your data. And then you review and explore your data. And then number 3 and 4 is where you develop a data coding system. I'll explain to you what is a coding system and what is data coding, and then assign codes to the data. And then number 5, you identify recurring themes. Recurring themes is, the themes are based on basically your research question, okay? So you collect data, and then you find the themes that correlate with your research question. So we'll go to the second topic, which is coding qualitative data. So what is coding in qualitative research? Coding is, in a simplified term, is just categorizing your qualitative data in an order to find themes and patterns. So that is just what coding is. You can imagine if we were doing it in the rational way, where you do it using your papers, interviews, before technology came in, you would conduct questionnaires, and now you'd have to sit with the questionnaires and highlight them and write short notes on the side. So that is basically what coding is. It's just categorizing the qualitative data and trying to find the patterns and the themes, which are based on your research question. So what is the benefits of qualitative coding? It increases validity. That means that you're able to systematically categorize your qualitative data. You're able to find the themes and the patterns inside your qualitative data, and you're able to reproduce it. Okay, so if any researcher comes and looks at your data, they're able to see how you actually did your coding and how they followed your theme or your phenomenon. So they decrease bias. We know this bias comes more with quantitative data, where you're not able to, because quantitative data is subjective as compared to qualitative data, where the opinions and the summary, the statement, the audio recording is usually free will, and it's not limited unless you're using some types of questionnaires which limit the participants, okay? And of course, they accurately represent the participants because they use the own words of the participant. And as we've said, in narrative analysis, you can always rephrase the participants' words and maybe make a summary, and then they enable transparency. So that is the benefit of qualitative coding. So how do you code qualitative data? You read through the data first, and then you apply codes. As we said, the codes are you highlighting, basically, and writing short notes. That's how you do it. So applying codes to the excerpt, conducting various rounds of coding, group codes according to the themes, and then making interpretation that leads to your ultimate research findings. Okay, I hope you're together until there. Anyone?
Yes,
are we together?
We can
Okay.
hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what are the steps for coding? First, you do your first round pass at coding qualitative data. This means that, okay, you have your interview, you have your video, you have your images, you have your recordings, you have your transcripts. So the first thing you do is you categorize it generally, because it's simple, you want to do it quick. So you basically categorize generally. So if you had an amount, you're conducting interviews, you want to write short notes. And there are ways that you can write those short notes. I'll show you in a few. So you can write.
Sorry, there are some questions coming through. Do we take them at the end or as we go along?
I think, okay. I think I'll take some right now that
right.
are based on the current slides, and then the ones that are not based on the current slides, I'll take it to the end. Is that okay?
Yes.
Just so that we move together,
All right. So
in case there's any misunderstanding on the current slides.
Right. Emmanuel says, how often can we have these sessions? And I responded to that. He's really enjoying the session. And then Radha Gimire asks, can we develop themes before coding?
Okay. I will take you through how you code, and there are ways. Actually, thank you for asking that question.
Ahead, all right.
I will take you through something called NVivo coding, which I think will answer your question.
Okay, Ofori asks, how does qualitative coding increase validity? And Emmanuel asks, what are the possible errors in coding? So I think people are preempting your next slides, and 4-day suggests that we ask questions at the end. It is important to allow you to go through the presentation. So I think you can proceed because you will be telling us about this.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So what are the steps for coding? As I want to remind you as well, we have already discussed what is coding. It's basically categorizing, okay? Your data into topics, into a summary, okay? So basically highlighting and writing short notes. So you do your first pass round at coding qualitative data. Now this is like skimming through and highlighting and categorizing based on your research question. And then you organize your qualitative data into categories and subcodes. So you might find that your code, based on the response from the people you're conducting interviews, on your transcript, on your videos, there was a lot of information. So in each code, now in each category, you can divide it into a subcategory. And then you can do further rounds of qualitative coding, and then turn codes and categories into your final narrative. So basically you're breaking it down. So you're breaking it down into a general code, and now you break down the code to a subcode, and then you can merge the subcode into the codes that kind of link together or make sense together, and then you can do it based on your final narrative using the codes. Because remember, this is a lot of information you're taking from a lot of participants. So when you want to present, remember you have to present your data in a form that is understandable, and you're not able to present each participant's response. So what you want to do is give a general response. As we said, maybe perception, and now you want to give the perception in a very clear way. So people might have different perception, as an example of qualitative data, and now you want to categorize this perception into different subcategories, okay? So examples of coding, and this answers the question. There's NVivo coding. There's NVivo coding. This is where you use the participants' own words to report your data. So you take exactly what the participant said and you include it in your data presentation. Process coding. There are so many types of coding. I also shared a presentation where you can learn about all this process of coding. I won't go deep into them because they have a way. If you want to really know how to code, you have to go through them, not in a summarized way, so that you understand. So this is a summary. There are many other ways of coding. These are the major ones. So there's NVivo coding where you use the participants' own words. This is when you take the data, and now when you're reporting the data or coding your data, let's say just adding a sticky note on your data. I'm talking about manually, not using the computer-assisted software, is where you write sticky notes based on the data you've collected. And in that sticky note, you do use the participant's own words, okay? So there's process coding. This is where there's, you're typically capturing the action. So in process coding, typically it's, they end with ing. So when you're writing when you're coding or writing your sticky notes, you're reporting using the action, okay? So if you're taking data on how people understood, you write participant was understanding, okay? So understanding is your process code, okay? Open coding. Open coding is where you use a noun to encapsulate or to write a summary of the perception or the participant. So there's simultaneous coding where you use one or more coding methods. So it's for you to decide based on what you want. So that was the first one. So this NVivo coding, simultaneous coding is the general coding you do before. And remember, we said coding is categorized. So that's how you categorize. You can use the participant's own words, and then you can use an action, you can use a noun to categorize. So that's the first one you do. And you do it really fast because you know you have a lot of data to analyze. So you do it really fast. And then you go to further coding. And now in each noun, you see, were there any themes? Were there corresponding? Were there any patterns? Okay, relating to how you coded the first time? Was how does the first respondent and the second respondent respond correlate? So that's where you find a theme, a pattern coding, a focused coding. Focused coding is you based on what you wanted to get out of the. I will take you through the second slide, which will. So I will answer one question, which was provided by. I can't find the question, but the answer is here. So the question was, can you code and then develop a theme later? Or do you develop a theme and then code? So I will go deep into that. And so here is where you can do that. So there is deductive coding and then inductive coding. So in deductive coding is where you actually come up with a theme, and then every response or every summary from any participant that does not match your theme, you eliminate, okay? And then in inductive coding, which is a process of further coding, not included here, is where now you develop the theme, you develop the theme based on how the participant responded. So you look at, you do your coding, and if you find out something, now you develop a theme out of it. But if you already have a theme based on your research question, now you can look at all response, and if there's no response that actually contributes to your coding, then you can eliminate. So I hope that answers your question. I would like to hear the response from the member who asked that question.
Yeah, Radha Gimire from Nepal. Does that answer you? You had asked, can we develop themes before coding? Radha, are you there? Yes, I got it. Yes, she got it. Right.
Okay. So what are the tools for coding qualitative data? The whole presentation was based on coding by computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software, which you can see where my mouse is pointing. So the reason why we want to focus on computer-assisted qualitative data analysis softwares is because it makes the work more easier when you're analyzing. And as I said, I was just going to introduce a theory because there's so many softwares to do this, and each software has different ways on how to do it. So I wouldn't focus on that because it would take almost 20 minutes to explain each.
I think your internet buffered. And anybody else here, Dr. Ombura?
I think we lost him again.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's out.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I was talking to myself the past 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Next time I'll ping you on WhatsApp. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I hope we're still together. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
So I'll go to introducing the computer-assisted qualitative data analysis softwares. And the reason we've already talked about the types. There was coding by hand, there was coding by MS Word, and coding by Microsoft Excel. They're still the same, only that coding by hand is more manual. Coding by all this, in my opinion, are very hectic. So that's why we are switching over to a computer-assisted qualitative data analysis softwares. So these are the examples of the softwares, the most common ones. There is DEDUS, there is Delve. Delve is a very good one for if you're just beginning to learn. And then Max QDA. Most institutions that are doing qualitative data analysis will actually prefer Max QDA. And then there's NVivo, which is my best when analyzing because it has so many features. I still send a link where there was a comparison on which are the best ones to use this year. And these were the most common ones. There's QDA Miner and Quicos, there's WordStat and Monkeylearn. So most of these data analysis softwares will have quantitative and qualitative, both quantitative and qualitative data analysis softwares combined. But like Delve is purely qualitative data analysis. So I want to make a point. I'll move fast to this note. Computers or these softwares do not do the analysis for the researchers. The users still have to create categories, code, decide what to correlate, identify patterns, and draw meaning from the data. So don't expect once you load your transcripts that the softwares will do the analysis for you. So it's all the computer analysis softwares do for you is they help you organize, and then they help you save and retrieve at any point. So I will share a video with anyone who's interested on how to actually do it. It's not a complex process. It will take you 20 minutes to learn, and then if you continue practicing, then you'll be good at it. So one thing you do not expect that once you load in your data or transcript, that the softwares will analyze it for you. So you still have to create the categories, which we said that creating the categories is basically coding, and then decide what to link, and then identify the patterns and draw meaning from the data. So when you're narrating, it's for you to narrate. So what do the programs do? They help you mark, they help you cut, and they help you sort, as you would do with a pair of scissors, okay? So these are the common features, but these are the common features for all this qualitative, computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software, the CAQDAS. They have content search. So you can always, once you log in or you load your software, you're able to upload files into the software. So they will help you. This basically how you do when you're uploading an email. So you click on new file upload and you're able to see which files you want to upload. You're able to select all the transcripts from participant 1 to participant 100. And then you're able to now string and coding. Now you're able to categorize, and you can click any participant, and there's a subsection where you can see what the participant wrote. If it was an interview, you're able to see what they said. Now you're able to code. And with each code, you're able to link it with any code that is existing in another drop-down. So you can code and you can subcategorize based on a subcategory that you had made way before. I know this might be confusing, but once you see the video, you'll be able to understand more. Again, you're able to do data visualization and reporting. It's a really good tool because once you do the codes, you're able to derive bar charts from there based on how, and we talked about how you can do your coding. So based on the title, if you used a noun, if you're maybe looking at a perception of participants who maybe were suffering from a certain disease, and the code you used, or as we said, open coding or active coding, and you said suffering, participant suffered. So all participants that you used the code suffered, and now you want to derive a bar graph from them or a pie chart, you're able to see the pie chart and the percentage. So it's a really good tool. Data mapping and data linking, which means if you find 2 or more data that correlates according to the theme that you had come up with, you're able to link it directly, okay? So what are the benefits for this computer-assisted data quality analysis softwares. They're able to save time. I'll take a break and look at the comment section just to see if you are following up. Okay, that's okay. We are still together. It saves a lot of time. You're able to, and this is you'll discover this when you see the types of these softwares. One of the benefits that one software might have over the other is collaboration. Just the same way you would do with Google Documents, or you're able to collaborate online with the people you're conducting the interviews with. You're able to update or do the coding at different locations at the same time and be able to communicate. So you might have one person doing the coding, and you might have another person maybe linking all information to the code that one person has created. And then there's credibility and validity. There was a question on how these softwares increase credibility and validity as compared when you're coding by hand. When someone wants to come and do a follow-up on maybe your supervisor or if someone is interested in your research and they want to see, was this data accurate? Now, once you give them that, because this is like a Google document, or I'm using Google document, they're able to see how you're able to code the data and how you systematically coded and use the subcode and how you came up with your presentation. They're able to follow that up through. So, and at any time that you want to take a break from the coding, you're able to come back a few years later and still continue doing it. If you discover something new and you're able to still have the data with you, because it stores them just as a project. And if you have worked with any software, you know what I mean by a project. So they store it as a project. So anytime you can go back to the project and see the steps that were followed, either by you or by anyone, and you're able to build into that. So that is what it means by credibility and validity. So practical examples, I will send a link to the videos that I found very helpful. The links are still here, but I feel like if I put a link that is clickable, which I think they might be clickable, but if they're not, I'll still send the list again. So there are softwares that will teach you everything on how to use them. And I already included the links. We've already discussed about this, what to note, how the computer programs will assist you, and what they will do for you. Okay. So where do you start when you want to now do your qualitative data and code? So you come up with a research plan, as always, with all research work, and then you conduct your interviews or questionnaires or anything. So when you're conducting your interviews, it might be in audio form, video form, so you'll need to transcribe the interviews. That's the most important part, where you need to have it in written Word document so that you're able to upload them as documents in the softwares. And now the fourth and fifth part is where now you do your qualitative data coding. So analyzing the transcripts, you will do it using the softwares. So the first, second, and third part, you do on your own. And then the fourth and fifth part is where the softwares will be able to help you. So you're able to analyze the transcript, which is now the coding that I've explained to you. Now you're able to write a report. So in the report writing, you're able to come up with those bar charts. As I've told you, the software is able to do that for you. So I found a very good site that might help you if you want to, and they have transcripts. They have transcripts that you're able to download, and you're able to try and code. So in case you find the best software that will work for you, as you can see, this is This is that site for students, and there's a book. It's called the Coding Manual for Qualitative Researchers. And the good thing with this site, it's able to give you the links which will help you try and code. And then they give you examples of transcripts. And what I mean by transcript is interviews they carried out using using these topics. So there were digestive disorders, there were teachers' observation on child oppression, digestive disorders again. So they were able to conduct interviews and they were able to upload these interviews. You can use this for your practice because now you download it as a zip document, you're able to unzip it. I hope you're together when I am using those terms. So you'll find that there are 10 documents. Participant 1 was asked various questions and they were able to answer. And now you're able to code using and correlate. So you choose one software in the link. There are videos in each software. There's actually a site that hosts all these softwares. It's called Provalis Research site, and it hosts all these softwares. So you're able to choose which software you want to use. And as I have said, my best one for a beginner, and I would highly recommend, is Delve. Okay. Once you understand Delve, you can now switch to NVivo, which is, I think, more user-friendly. And it's easier to work with. So you're able to choose between Delve and NVivo, and then take this transcript and try and start coding. And there are videos still in those sites that help you. So this is a practical example. I'll still upload some videos for you to help you learn each step of the coding. But I think as far as I've introduced, this is basic enough to help you start coding with whichever softwares. Now that you understand the theory behind it, you'll be able to go through. These are all the qualitative data analysis software out there, and these are their links. I do not know whether they're clickable. From my end, they are, but if you're unable, I'll still send them to you. So the websites and the references where I got all this information from are there. The first website, study.sagepub.com, is what I have just showed you, the coding manual for qualitative researchers. The first site under the website title is that site. So if you want to start learning immediately, you can click on this site. And once the Delve tool is there, because this is the easiest for a beginner, in my opinion. And now you can use the Delve tool and now get your transcript from the first website there. All the theory I've given you was based on the first three references. You can still go read using. These are the word definitions of every word that I've used. I thought using there in case you want to go through the PowerPoint again before you start recording. Thank you. And now I will respond to your question. I will go through the questions, and I hope Dr. Wangare, you'll help me go through the questions so I'm able to answer.
Sure, thank you so much for sharing this. It's very useful to us and we appreciate you. So we have some questions in the chat. Many people asking for the video and the links that you are going to share with us, and yes, that is all right. When you can avail them, we will send them to our members. And we also have a number of questions. First of all, a lot of people saying this was a very useful webinar. We've learned a lot. So a few people also shared some resources. So thank you so much for the interactive chat. So somebody asked, can you share some light on Codebook and the approaches to it? That's Benga Elufisan.
code book.
Mhm.
Uh,
And yeah, go ahead.
I would, if you're on the session, you can ask.
Yeah, Wenga, would you like to give some context to your question?
Yes.
Okay. Presently, I'm working like I'm in a class that we are being taught stuffs like this. We are being taught content analysis. We are being taught mass QDA presently. So
Yes.
in the class, we were, there was issue around code book that came up. So we were asked to prepare a code book, which I practically did not know anything about. Although it was later explained to us. I just want to have a different view from you, since it looks like you've been using different data analysis software. So probably you also know anything about it. I've been using Atlas TI for like 2-3 years, but I never got to know anything about codebook until maybe sometimes last week. So that was why I asked the question. Was the major reason why I actually stayed up.
Okay. So a code book will basically fall when, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I can.
Will basically fall after you have analyzed and done a report.
Okay.
Yes. So with these softwares, you're not able to develop a code book because, as I have said, these softwares, the first thing you do is analyze and then report. So there was this slide I shared with you. Yeah, there was this slide I shared with you. So number 6 would be now developing a code book. Okay, so it's not part of qualitative data coding, because you'll have to do this, analyze the transcript, write a report, and now develop a code book based on this report. Do we understand each other? Yeah, I hope that
yes,
answers
I
your
got
question.
your point.
Yeah.
All right.
I got your point.
Okay, wonderful. Ofori asks, how does qualitative coding increase validity? And Emmanuel asks, what are the possible errors in coding?
I think I answered the one for validity.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in this slide. I think I don't know if I can hear from the member whether they understood about.
Ofori, are you well answered, or would you like to give more context to your question? Ofori says, yes, please, you did answer the validity question. All right. So the other question was about errors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What are the possible errors in coding? Emmanuel asks.
The possible errors will, I have not dived into the possible errors, because I believe that the errors might come with how you are coding, because it is more about the researcher's error. So when you're coding, you remember this coding is just you categorizing. So the errors that might occur might be subjective to the researcher, where you link data that does not correlate, or when you're doing the subcategory and now you're coding, you put one data in a code or a category that does not match whatever that you had put, whatever the respondent or the interviewer responded. So let's say in a case where you maybe had a theme, and now you've included a response that does not match the theme. And when you're doing your analysis, you'll realize that even when the charts are being created, it will still record or present that view as a response that was contributing to the theme. So that might actually be an error on your data, but it's subjective to the researcher, because if you backtrack, now you'll have inaccurate results. But based with the softwares, I have not met any error so far. So I think it is subjective.
All right. George
Yeah, I do not know if that answers your question.
Manuel, are you well answered?
Yes, yes.
All right, wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
So we have George Njage says, kindly advise on the best reference books on research that one can get. And actually, Radha Gimire from Nepal shared a resource there on a book on qualitative analysis using NVivo, the 5-level 2017. Venga also shared another resource, an introduction to qualitative research by Uwe Flick. I think you already shared your reference list, so I believe that is well answered.
Yes, this book, it's a book and it still has a site, the Coding Manual for Qualitative Researchers. It's easy, it gives you all the links, it gives you all the links, code lists, coding examples it gives you example, and you can actually do a group exercise with it, and then there's a flashcard of terms. So for me, this was the most easiest book that you can use to actually understand and actually do a practical exercise with. It's a book and it still has a site.
All right. Wamboi Gadoga asks, can it code audio files? Can the software code audio files?
Audio files, as I said, there are softwares that do. I have not used one that does, but as I said, the first thing you do is transcribe. Transcribing basically means you listen to the audio and you change it into written format. In point number 3, yeah.
Okay, got that. And a lot of people asking for the video that you promised, the links. And saying this was very informative, splendid, nice presentation. And one person asks, Faith Akiteng says, thank you, Dr. Ombura, for this insightful presentation. Can you combine both deductive and inductive coding in qualitative analysis? Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. You can do that. You can do that. It's actually called axial coding, where you can actually, yes, you can. What happens when you're coding is you have your research question, as I explained, and your theme comes from the research question. So when you're carrying out the data analysis, you might discover new things that you did not know, and if these new things contribute to your research question, now you can add them. So that might be the part where you do your inductive coding. So if you had settled for deductive coding and you're eliminating everything that was not based on your theme, and then you discover something new that you did not know while carrying out your research and contribute to your research question, then now you can do inductive coding. Now you can find another theme that matches with your research question. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, Faith, are you well answered? Faith Akiteng, can you hear Faith? All right, as Faith is giving feedback, she says, yes, thank you. She's well answered. Emmanuel would like to comment on codebook. And we have a lot more thank yous coming through. There's also a question. I think you have already answered. Somebody was just adding there that yes, some softwares can generate a transcript of the audio file. So would you like to give your comment on Codebook?
Oh, sorry. My comment, I think most part has been answered. It was an issue on there's a program run on University of Washington.
Yeah.
Just given a really detailed issues of a qualitative analysis, data analysis, the thematic analysis, given how the thematic analysis is conducted, issues of maybe I can give in a second what it captures. In conducting thematic analysis, they say we have 5 steps. One is familiarizing yourself with the data, coding the data, generating initial themes, review and refine themes, and write up your findings. So they go and define coding as a systematic process of organizing, compiling, and summarizing qualitative data, which involves applying labels and codes to segments of data that's relevant to answer your evaluation. So they go and define codebook as a compiled list of all the codes you've used, and it includes a description of each code, rules about when a code should and should not be used, an example of coded text for reference, and also it helps to ensure codes are applied in a consistent way. So they say a codebook is also a living document that evolves as needed. Then they say certain codes become less relevant and become dropped for new ones to be added. So I think in a nutshell, I think that is what it is, but I'll share the transcript.
Thank you so much for that addition. So do we have any other closing comment questions as we finish? I see a lot of thank you so much, Dr. Ombura from Venga. Is it possible for Dr. Ombura to share the presentation? Dr. George Njage asks. So usually we do share the presentation on our YouTube channel under Journal Club program of ADA Africa. We will also share the links in the WhatsApp group, so please be sure to join us in case you're not yet a member of Journal Club. Rather, Gimire, thank you for the second resource, Johnny Salgana, a book called The Coding Manual for Qualitative Researchers, Sage Publications Limited, 2015. Wamboi Gatoga says that was awesome, quite informative. Thanks a lot, Daktari. Rather, Gimira from Nepal says, very informative session. Thank you. Grace Karanja, wonderful presentations. Thank you for organizing this. Benga Lufisan from Mississippi. I know Atlas does TI analysis, does both audio and video. All right, I'm liking the sharing in the group, quite very engaging audience you have been, and I appreciate your attendance today. In case you have not yet filled our feedback form, please do so. I had shared the links in the chat. Judy Vera says, thanks, Brian. We need hands-on session next time, kindly. So a lot of people, Dr. Ombura, are asking for more. They would like to see more of this. Benga says, thanks, Dr. Ombura. Thanks, Dr. Joyce. Faith Akitang says, thank you, Dr. Ombura, for this informative presentation, and Dr. Wangari for organizing this. I would also like to add that I would like to thank the founder of Journal Club ADA Africa, that is Aurelia Monene, as well as our programs coordinator, Raymond, and our IT lead, who is David, who has made the poster and this Zoom platform possible. So on that note, I would like to give it back to the presenter to say any words as we close. Dr. Ombura, welcome.
Thank you all for joining. I enjoyed creating this. What I would want to do is I would want you to try Delve, and then maybe I can create a customized video for each software. And I will share my email as well. If you have any questions that you'd want me to address, then I can look into it. And then I can, instead of maybe having another webinar, I can just share all the videos. And then I will share the videos with Dr. Wangere. I will make sure that I capture everything in those videos so that it might help everyone. So you can choose which software you want, just watch a video, and then I think that will be really helpful. Again, if you have sent any reference or anything in the group, I will request you to send it in the WhatsApp group as well, so that when this session is over, we are able to access it as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Yes, we always save the chat and all the resources shared, so we will be availing those.
And thank you for Ada Africa
some people
for powering this,
Go
Dr.
ahead.
Wangare and Oriela. You've been really helpful coming up with this session. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Benson Barasa says, wonderful. I love the move towards qualitative analysis. Lauren says, thank you for the informative session. Please share the recording on the YouTube channel. So I've done that. You'll see the links in the chat. Welcome and leave our own measure. Thank you. Christina says, this is my first time to be part of this, and she gives her email address. Thank you all for your lively participation this Saturday. All right, have a good day.